Hi Capricorn, welcome to your weekly love reading. Let's see what's going to happen for you this week in terms of love. The Four of Cups, the Two of Pentacles, the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, the Three of Swords, the Eight of Cups. So, a fantasy is unrealistic. A grounded reality cannot manifest out of such illusion. So, for some of you, there may have been distance between you both, and so there was a lot of time for overthinking things. There may have been some projections going on here. Like, you may have had a past where you felt rejected by family and possibly past relationships as well, and so subconsciously it's like your inner child was looking to this person to turn around and commit and to make you feel lovable and good enough after all. This person may have been emotionally unavailable, but you know, whenever we're attracted to someone emotionally unavailable, it means that we are as well, because subconsciously, if the other person isn't fully there for us, then we don't have to fully show up and be our true selves with them. You know, it creates a safe distance. So there may have been that kind of dynamic going on some kind of level within your connection. So there may have been all this time and distance to think, like overthink things, and you know, really daydream about how you wanted this person to be, who you wanted them to be, how you wanted them to change, how you wanted them to be there for you. And you know, our subconscious mind doesn't know what is real and what isn't real. So whatever you're thinking about is what your subconscious mind believes is real. So for some of you, when you were daydreaming about this person so much, the subconscious mind may have started to believe that that was what was actually happening within your connection, but the reality may have been really different. Like, in reality, you may not have been together, or you may not even, you know, talk that much to this person, or this person may be disrespecting you, or they were looking in a different direction, they weren't committing to you, or things like that. And so you may have really believed that you were meant to be with this person, but I feel like there was a lot of fantasy going on here, and it wasn't manifesting because that fantasy was like out of touch or out of alignment with the reality of the situation, the reality of what was going on. It was your choice to become an unhealthy martyr. I don't remember ever agreeing to disrespect myself in the same way. So I feel like a lot of you gave and gave and gave to this relationship, especially with this Eight of Pentacles in reverse as well. You're putting in a lot of time and effort into this connection, but in reverse it's like it wasn't paying off. It wasn't creating a balance, because this is an 8, which is the infinity symbol, so it's like a mirror, but in reverse it was like it wasn't mirroring back to you, it wasn't being reciprocated back to you, is what I'm feeling. You know, all this effort that you were putting in, and so some of you did become a martyr in terms of totally burning yourself out, feeling like you had to put in so much work just to keep this relationship or this situationship going. You felt like it's like both of you were in a rowing boat, but you were the only one that was rowing. And you know, you were afraid that if you stopped rowing, then this other person wouldn't start rowing, and so the boat would just stop. Your relationship would just stop. For some of you, that is what happened. This person felt as though you were totally giving up yourself to try and impress them, to try and convince them to commit to you. And this person, you know, wasn't going to do that in return. They didn't want to completely give themselves up, or be a martyr to make it work with you, especially if they felt like you were putting in all the work and effort anyway. They felt like they didn't need to put in any time and effort. But I feel like their needs weren't being met in that imbalanced like dynamic either. Like this person wants to feel like they're a good provider. They want to feel like they're the best version of themselves. You know, they want to feel truly good about themselves in a relationship. But in this kind of dynamic, they felt that as though they weren't going to feel good about themselves. And some of you may think, well, why didn't they just give back equally? Why didn't they give more then in order to feel good enough? And it's because what I'm sensing is they felt that you projected all these fantasies onto them. So they felt like you were setting them up for failure. They felt as though nothing that they would really do in reality would ever match up to that fantasy you'd projected onto them. And so they always felt rejected. And they always felt that if they got close to you, you'd never be truly satisfied with the real them. And so they felt that they would just be rejected. And then that would make them feel that they're not good enough all the time. And I feel like they were already feeling that way. And so some of them, they may have chosen someone else where it just worked out much more easily, or someone where they felt that this other person hadn't put a load of projections onto them, or I'm getting a sense it just happened quickly with this other person. So there wasn't time for all this build up of pressure, all this overthinking, where these expectations have sort of been born from. I based my self-worth on how you saw me. I started to feel the real me wasn't good enough, so I wore a mask. So yeah, they did feel that they weren't good enough for the reasons I was just talking about. They felt like they couldn't give back to you equally, or they couldn't, you know, they literally couldn't become a fantasy version, because they are who they are, kind of thing. But they tried to, is what I'm feeling. They tried to, because they were afraid of losing you as well. So they felt like they had to, it's like they felt pressured to wear those masks to try and impress you, or try and be what they thought you wanted them to be. But they couldn't live up to that. It wasn't the real them. It wasn't, you know, truthful. And that was creating a block, because this person, you know, they couldn't align with you in any kind of true way if there was all these masks going on, or, you know, this intense fear of you rejecting them. You know, if you were wanting them to give more, or be more, or do more. Please don't shoot the messenger. So I feel like this was like a really powerful karmic lesson. Your connection wasn't necessarily just a karmic connection, but there was definitely a lot of lessons here, a lot of karma to be realized. So don't shoot the messenger is about you attracted this experience in order to trigger up like heartbreak, abandonment, rejection, or things like that. It was to stir up those wounds within yourself, stir up the stories within yourself, where you were telling yourself, this person's rejected me, and that means I'm not good enough. You know, that's just a story. The messenger, you know, this connection, this person, their soul had this contract with your soul. They agreed to awaken you from that illusion where you were basing your sense of self-worth on them or anyone outside of yourself. No one has that authority to determine whether you're good enough or not. It's all about your own belief. Do you believe you're worthy? Do you believe you're good enough? Because whatever you believe is what you manifest. Whatever you believe is what you receive. And so this is what you were supposed to learn in this connection. And, you know, this is why this person left. This is why this person walked away. In order for you to have that tower moment. In order for you to have that heartbreak and feel abandoned, rejected. You know, to actually make you go through your biggest fears, you know, your biggest fears in this connection manifested. but it forced you to go through those wounds rather than continuing to try and avoid them by staying within like the fantasies or you know, keeping it ungrounded. And for many of you, it was a powerful lesson. It made you realize your worth. You realized how much you've been a giving person, how hard you've worked on these relationships, and possibly relationships in the past as well. Like, it's all culminated together to make you realize that you do deserve someone that's going to give back to you equally. You do deserve a happy relationship. You do deserve to know your own worth and have someone know your worth in return as well. Some of you realized through this Tower moment how perhaps you weren't fully like being fair on this other person either. And you're realizing it wasn't personal because you're realizing your own contribution to having these projections that they couldn't live up to and things like that. And for some of you, that's helped you to heal past experiences as well, where you just felt like it was the other person just rejecting you. You're realizing the mirror dynamic here in this pattern that you've been going through. Why do you think your needs are more important than mine? So you may have been giving and giving and giving. Like, a part of you may have been telling yourself, I'm giving because I'm such a caring, kind, compassionate person. And I'm not saying that you're not, but I do feel that there was an ulterior motive for many of you, like deep down, where you're giving so much because you're wanting that in return. Or you were wanting the relationship to go in a certain direction because, you know, you felt like you needed something on the outside to change in order for you to feel good within yourself, sort of thing. I feel like that was trying to push things in a certain direction which weren't meeting this other person's needs. Like, if you were trying to push things, force things, put in all the work, tell this person what he or she should be doing, you know, this wasn't allowing the person time to grow on their own. It was trying to steer things in the way you wanted things to go, but that may not have been what was going to help them to grow on a soul level. So the Chariot in reverse, I feel like both of you tried to force things to come into harmony with the Lovers in reverse. There was a lot of disharmony. The Chariot in reverse is about imbalance as well. So there's kind of like this rash energy, impulsive energy. Perhaps you both tried to make things work, but there was a lot of chaos going on within. This person was wearing masks because in that sense they were trying to impress you as well. And they were trying to work hard to be impressive as well. So you were both kind of doing the same things, but it was continuing to put time and effort and energy into the things that weren't working. A lack of harmony within equals a lack of harmony on the outside, you know, within the connection. This person felt like it wasn't working out. They felt like they put in so much time and energy and effort, but things were just continuing to be in disharmony. There was blocks on the path, and so they gave up waiting. Basically, you may have felt like you were the only one waiting, or you were the only one putting in the work and effort, but this person was in their own way as well, and they just felt that if they waited, then they'd be waiting forever because there was this unhealthy dynamic going on in repeat. So they needed to walk away in order to change the energies, in order to disrupt that pattern, disrupt that cycle, break things down. Some of them may have chosen someone else because it just felt like there was more harmony, or it just happened much more easily. There wasn't all these complications. But their heart, you know, still resides with you, is what I'm feeling. They feel this deep love for you because even though they may be with someone else, they're still thinking about you. They feel like, you know, they feel down because they feel like they want they see your connection as like the holy grail. They want this union, they want this relationship with you, but it's almost like they feel taunted. Is that the word? Taunted by the divine. They feel like there's this amazing opportunity to be with you, but they just feel like they can't have that. They can't be with you. They can't come into alignment, you know. Things just aren't working. There's delays, obstacles, that lack of self-love within both of you, you know, just being out of alignment with being able to come into union. And so this person chose another direction, even though they're sad about it. For a long time they tried to keep your relationship afloat as well. They were trying to juggle things. It was a struggle, emotionally all over the place. This is, to me, is saying that both of you were avoiding, you know, you're turning your back on your own emotional chaos because he's facing away from the stormy seas, and you were both trying to make the relationship grow, or you're trying to keep it in the air, but it was a struggle because you're both avoiding the emotional chaos within yourselves that needed to be looked at, you know. So you were both, I feel like you were both investing in this relationship. You both wanted the union, but you're investing again, like the Eight of Pentacles in reverse, doing things in the wrong kind of way. Trying to avoid your own individual emotional wounds within yourselves, and trying to instead focus on each other, looking outside of self. So there was a lot of heartbreak. This person felt disillusioned. They felt it's never going to work out. I feel like this person mourned the loss of your relationship before they even told you that they'd made that decision to try and move on, just because it wasn't working out. And then they moved on, and I feel like you only knew that they moved on once they'd already walked away. So, and thank you so much